Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, so my teacher at a community college, and one time we were doing some kind of statistics, and I used this example. I pulled up actuarial data from Social Security. There's a chart that shows you for your age the probability that you will die in a given year, and so on and so forth, right? That's how they use to calculate Social Security's projections. I was showing them the statistics and how to read charts like that. And so we were talking about, deciding when to take Social Security and all that. And you'll have to project how long you expect to live, right? A lot of that could depend on your family background or various habits that you might have, right? And I, I, I asked the students to imagine how much of a benefit do you think you would get if you knew exactly to the day or even to the year of how, and for certain you knew the exact number that you were going to live to. And for a lot of my students, that was a very morbid thought. They were like, "I hope I never get to see any calculation like that." And I'm thinking, I didn't ask the class. I'm thinking, so why? I didn't want to ask my class, so I'm asking in this video, why don't you want to know? Because that was a universal answer, at least for the younger generation. See, I would love to know. Here's why. This past week, uh, my car finally died, and I had to go replace it. And it wasn't the end of the world, but I had a little bit of drama when I was thinking about replacing the car. You see, I had put off replacing the car, so I wasn't too disappointed because, yeah, I had to replace the car, but that's 2 years extra that I didn't think I would get out of that car. Now, here's the thing. Last year, I had a big decision to make. I could have replaced the car last year, but I knew the car was still going, right? Or I could try to squeeze every last minute I can get out of the car, but it could die in a very inconvenient time, right? I was kind of fortunate the car kind of just died in our backyard, right? But it could have died during my trip to Las Vegas. It could have died on the way to the airport when I needed to fly somewhere. It could have died, on the way to an important meeting, a job interview. It could have died when I was, I recently started dating a distant cousin of Eve Curry. It could have died when the two of us were on the road, right? Actually, that might not have been so bad, but you get the idea, right? I could either go for the longevity and risk having it die in the wrong place, or I could cut the longevity short, commit suicide of that car, right? But at least know when it goes, right? So that was kind of the choice that I was up against, right? And it was kind of a difficult choice actually. And so imagine, well, for a car, it's hard enough, right? Imagine if you could know exactly how long you could live. First of all, you could make things a lot more convenient for if you knew exactly the day you were going to die, right? You could go to a really comfortable place to do it, right? You could you certainly don't want to inconvenience people, right? And also you could plan your expenditures accordingly. So, for example, so old school Dave asked, "Did you get another Kia?" No, I'll leave it as a surprise. I'll record a video at some point. But for example, I'm thinking of doing some traveling this summer. I want to go to Taiwan. I made some connections there, but Taiwan's also very hot, just like Phoenix. I want to also go somewhere to cool off, right? Now, both of those trips are a little bit outside my budget, but imagine I open that magical box and it says I'm only going to live to be 45 anyway. Oh, I'll take both of them then, right? Would I be disappointed at seeing that information? Not really, because that information is there whether or not I see it. Right, getting to use it is still much more valuable than not. Right. I hope you got the bar of silver out of there. Yeah, but getting to see that information is still useful. Now, if I open that box and it says I got another 1,000 years to go, now what might change? Well, I could also plan accordingly, right? If I had 1,000 years to live, I could invest my money a lot more aggressively, right? I probably wouldn't own anything that was cash, right, or equivalent of, right? I could put everything into the stock market, or better yet, into the strategic metals, emerging markets, right? So both of them have their own. Now, if I open the box and I see it's a very normal 70 or 80, right? Then I probably wouldn't have to hedge a lot of these things, right? So any of that would be a good thing, right? But I don't know why people would want to not see it. I mean, the exact, think of it this way, right? The exact moment that you will die is already known somewhere, right? God knows it. Would you want to not take a peek at it, right? If you went to, which I don't know, if you were planning to imagine you went to some kind of contest, right? Would you not want to take a peek at what your opponent is thinking of, right? It's just so awkward. I don't know why people would say that, right? I was just yesterday as I was dealing with the car, I was like, gee, had I known that the car would have it was going to die at such when I'm only in my backyard, right? I wouldn't have given myself so much heck over the last couple of years, right? And what's kind of tragic is that I just fixed up a number of things in the car but that's minor, right? Compared to the car dying in an inconvenient place, right? But that's one of those. Have you ever thought about this? You got a car that's dying. You could replace it today, but you'll cut off whatever time you would have gotten to drive it, or you could wait till it dies, but it might not be a convenient place. What do you do in that kind of circumstance, right? Or now I did some reading out there, and apparently the best time of year to buy a used car, is not this time of year. It's usually January. Now I'm not too upset. I actually thought that's not a replacing the car in January is probably not that crucial. The reason being that, well, I got an extra 4 months out of the car, right? Even if I would have saved a little bit replacing it back in January, you still have to account for I need a car for these 4 months, right? So I don't think it's the end of the world, right? All right, it's just some food for thought out there. Would you want to know how long you could live? What would you do if you looked at the answer and it was only a few more years left or a few months left? What if it was thousands of years left? Right? What might you do differently? Right? Just curious. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.